So the votes are in, the races are called, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have added to their front-runner status. Clinton won 7 states, to Bernie Sanders 4. On the Republican side, Donald Trump took 7 states as well. Cruz won 3, Rubio grabbing the Minnesota caucuses. But is the grand old party ready to accept Trump as its likely nominee? 3 Republican governors of Massachusetts may give us a clue. Mitt Romney is holding what his team is calling a major speech on the 2016 race tomorrow. But before that, you've seen he sent out tweets calling Trump's refusal to disavow the KKK disqualifying and predicting bombshells in Trump's unreleased tax documents. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Bill Weld, a Kasich supporter, right here the other night.
That's a fair statement,
I think
yes?
the Donald Trump of late February is a lot better than the Donald Trump of 3 months ago.
Good enough that if Kasich is not the nominee that you could support Donald Trump?
I'm not sure what I would do in that event.
But it's possible.
It's possible.
Then somewhere in the middle, there's current Governor Charlie Baker, who said this for the first time just today.
I said that I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump yesterday, and I didn't, and I don't plan to vote for him in November, but I'm not willing to concede with 35 states still to go that he's going to be the Republican nominee.
And that pretty much sums it all up. Joining me are Kelly Bates. She's a political analyst. Hey, Kelly. Jim O'Sullivan, political reporter for the Boston Globe. Good to see you, Jim. Kyle Claus, he's digital news writer at Boston Magazine. Nice to see you, too. Let's start with Baker. Let's do current events, then step back for big picture. Baker, he was sort of forced to take a position. Everybody is saying, why isn't he saying that he will not vote for Trump? That's what happened today.
Right. We've been asking him about this since the middle of last year. Would you disavow a Trump nomination? And he waited until the day after the Massachusetts primary, the day after his slate for the state committee had gone before the voters to take that position. And he's now been outflanked by a lot of national Republican figures, guys like Tom DeLay, who have gotten out in front of this and said, no, I would not support a Trump nominee.
When you said this state committee thing, which most people watching probably don't know about,
Right.
He was trying to oust the more conservative members with more moderates. He succeeded. And the fear, I think I read, was it your story in the Globe, was that he was worried that he would aggravate the conservative wing of his party even more if he did the Trump thing before. Is that the thesis?
Right. Didn't want to trigger the Trump backlash. I mean, if you look at the map, Trump won in a lot more places than Charlie Baker did.
So does he go from being criticized at home for not taking a stand to now a national leader on this issue, or a Republican governor, the most popular Republican governor, saying just never Trump? I mean, that's what he said today.
I mean, they're all trying basically to make, they don't want to see Trump in the end. That's the bottom line. They're all moderates. You know, Weld was a moderate, Baker is, he worked for Weld. I think at this point, they don't have a lot of national cachet, quite frankly. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. They're trying to bring out anybody and everybody they can, Mitt Romney, et cetera, to try to make this look different and to try to shape this race so that the ethics look like you can't choose Trump. This is very coordinated.
By whom?
I mean, it's interesting. They're all Massachusetts figures. I think the party is saying, listen, guys, we got to get you out there. We got to show that Trump is just too far out there and help voters come along.
You mean the party which doesn't exist? So
That's right.
Mitt Romney, what is he up to? I mean, he's allegedly given a speech. They've said his aides have leaked or said, not an announcement, not an endorsement. What's his agenda here?
That's the thing. I question the efficacy of a Mitt Romney endorsement or anti-endorsement or whatever, because the same people who were angry that the Republican Party, the Republican establishment ran a moderate like Romney or John McCain in '08 are so incensed that they're flocking towards Donald Trump. So I don't think they're going to see Mitt Romney as a voice of reason or even someone to flock to.
Does anybody care what Mitt Romney says, Jim?
No.
Among Trump supporters,
No.
Does
Jim.
anybody care?
I disagree. I think what Romney's trying to do is to consolidate clearly the rest of conservative base is upset with the establishment, right? But the establishment isn't happy with Trump either. So what you have is this fissure within the party, and they're waiting for someone to, the establishment's waiting for someone to step forward and say, here's a plan. They've tried numerous times. You keep hearing every few weeks about donors are on calls and we're going to unite behind XYZ candidate and there's going to be this kind of super PAC. They need someone to step up and sort of corral this whole thing and organize an effort against Trump.
So you get to address the single most embarrassing moment, I would argue, in the campaign so far. Former candidate, current governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, introducing Donald Trump last night in Miami. Here it is.
All those states who supported Mr. Trump today since June 16th, when Mr. Trump declared his candidacy.
Mr. Trump, I mean, you've read all the tweets. It looks like a hostage video. He should blink twice if he wants to.
Sure.
How mortifying is this thing? He's excoriating the guy a couple of weeks ago, and look at him. He's practically his lapdog now. I mean, it is on, whether you love Trump or not, but isn't this embarrassing stuff?
Well, it's political nihilism, really. I mean, Christie, he'll do whatever will advance his career, and I think he senses that after this, I think his political career is over, and this was a last-ditch effort to make himself relevant for a couple
Was he
more
Secretary of Bridges in the Trump administration? I'm
God
serious.
forbid.
Right, and he offers nothing to Trump. He looks like a mini Trump next to him. I mean, it doesn't even, it's laughable. It's a joke.
Okay, one more current event thing that you've written about, and then we'll get to the big picture. Bill Clinton yesterday campaigning hard for his wife. We have some video while you're talking of him in New Bedford on a loudspeaker, and then him in polling places. I think this one is in West Roxbury. What's the controversy here, Kyle?
Sure. So Super Tuesday morning, he stopped by the Newton Free Library in Newton, and he also stepped by the Holy Name Gymnasium in West Roxbury. He stepped inside the
There he
polling
is, yeah.
location with Mayor Marty Walsh. A spokesperson for his office told me that he was not campaigning. However, we at Boston Magazine obtained a photo of President Clinton, Mayor Walsh, and a voter posing with a ballot inside the polling location. I find it very hard to believe that there was no campaigning going on within the polling location.
I mean, this is much ado. I mean, it appears to me, as a non-expert, it is probably a legal violation, but it's not much ado about not much. Nothing's going to happen, right?
I don't think that much is going to happen from this. It's, I mean, have we ever seen Bill Clinton when he's not campaigning? I mean, he's sort of a political animal. But I mean, the letter of the law, should the mayor and the former president go in and sort of promote Hillary Clinton's candidacy in a polling place? Probably not.
Well, as someone said last night, it's like a human lawn sign. I mean, he essentially is. In any case, can we step back and is this thing over? Let's start with Hillary Clinton. A lot of Sanders supporters on the radio, and we talked about it, upset today. But essentially, it's a really difficult path to victory, as that tired saying goes, for Bernie Sanders now, isn't it?
It really is, and I think a lot of Bernie supporters and very left progressives are feeling a little sore. They see the end. They realize it's probably going to be Hillary, and now it's just psychologically, can I transform myself to accept that? Because they see her as very establishment. They see her as sort of bought by corporations, and yet there are a lot of her platform they can agree with. So there is a lot of wrestling, inside themselves. All right, we've got to make a shift. The problem is I don't know how much they're going to actually work for her. And they're very, very an excitable base. A lot of them were the young
Particularly the
millennials.
millennials you're talking
yeah,
about.
and it's like, what's going to happen with them?
Let's see if we can find them. Oh, there is one.
hi,
I mean,
how
what's your sense of your fellow
I think
millennials?
snake people
Will
is
they
the
transfer?
technical
I mean, if either of you want to make the case that it's not over for Sanders, feel free. But if it is, do millennials transfer to Hillary Clinton?
Well, when they have Bill Clinton in New Bedford on Super Tuesday, essentially there's amidst claims that he blocked the voting location and having a megaphone speech just a few feet outside the polling
Even though
location.
the Secretary of State said it's not true, access was never formally blocked. I don't know where the truth lies, but that's what he said.
Somewhere in between, we'll say.
Okay, let's go to the Republican side. Everybody's saying the establishment, we're waiting for them to rise up. This endless litany of editorials, Boston Globe, GOP must confront Trump nightmare. The New York Times, 6 New Jersey papers issue a joint editorial calling for Christie to step down. The publisher, the New Hampshire Union Leader, says we apologize for endorsing Christie. There's never going to be an establishment candidate, is there, who's going to rise up and stop Donald Trump? Is there?
Well, that's why Charlie Baker's saying that he's not ready to concede the nomination, is that the establishment keeps waiting for someone to write in, or not even a specific candidate, but a plan, maybe what Romney's going to talk about tomorrow, to write in. Look, the conservative grassroots in the Republican Party haven't been happy with their nominee since 1984, since Reagan, second time around, and they feel like it's their time.
And either of you, is there an establishment candidate, or is essentially it's Trump and Clinton for 8 months and 1 week, Kelly?
I think so. I think that's what we're really going to see, unless Bloomberg decides he wants to enter in. But I don't think he's a strong enough candidate to make a difference at this point. And I do believe that whether we want to accept it or not, this is a democracy. The voters are voting. They are saying who they want. We want Trump, and that's really hard for the party to reconcile at this
Is it
point.
over?
Well, Sanders, if you look at the numbers, Sanders polls a lot better than Hillary does against the GOP candidates.
Well, John Kasich polls a lot better than the other Republicans against Hillary Clinton,
Well,
too.
Kasich's message, we're moving too fast, Jim.
One
We
last
need to
question.
slow down.
One last question for you very quickly. Ben Carson's not going to participate in the debate tomorrow night. Quick question. How are we going to know that he isn't at the debate? Does anybody know? Oh, that's really unkind. It's very nice to see you,
Good to
Kelly.
see you, Jim.
Thanks so much, Jim
Thank
O'Sullivan.
you.
It's a pleasure. Kyle, thank
Jim,
you, too.
thanks.
See you all.